There is a man thinking about you right now. What he feels for you goes much deeper than he has ever admitted to anyone. Even to himself, there are moments when the depth of these emotions surprises him. You may not fully see it yet. You may not understand how deeply your presence has settled into his heart. You may even question whether anyone could truly feel this strongly about you. But there is something important that life has been waiting to reveal. Something that could only become clear when you were emotionally ready to understand it. There is a man, a very specific person, whose energy continues to find its way into your thoughts. He appears when your mind becomes quiet. He enters your dreams. He shows up in those moments when you wonder if real love is ever going to find its way to you. The truth is simple. He cares for you far more deeply than he has ever shown. Before you dismiss these words, before you tell yourself that this could never apply to someone like you, stay with me for a moment. There is a reason this message has reached you now. Sometimes life places certain truths in front of us at exactly the moment we are finally able to understand them. For a long time, there has been something hidden beneath the surface of this connection. Something you have sensed, but perhaps never fully understood. A truth about love, a truth about emotional connection, and a truth about a man whose feelings have grown stronger than he ever expected. What makes this situation difficult is not a lack of love. It is not a lack of attraction. It is not a lack of connection. There is something standing between what he feels and what he is able to express. There is a complication that has kept this relationship from unfolding the way it could. By the time you reach the end of this message, you will understand what that obstacle truly is. You have felt something unusual, haven't you? There have been moments when the energy between you seemed impossible to ignore. Moments when a simple glance carried more meaning than words. Moments when conversations felt deeper than they appeared on the surface. Moments when silence itself seemed to say everything that neither of you could explain. Perhaps you have found yourself lying awake at night, wondering whether these feelings were real. Perhaps you questioned whether you were imagining the connection. Perhaps you convinced yourself that you were reading too much into things. You can let go of that doubt. What you have been feeling is real. The connection is real. Your heart noticed something long before your mind was willing to accept it. Sometimes intuition understands the truth before logic can explain it. And that is exactly what happened here. There is something inside this man that responds to you in a way he cannot fully control. He did not plan for this. He did not decide one day that he was going to develop feelings for you. It happened naturally, slowly, quietly, without effort. Like a sunrise that appears without asking permission. Something about you touched a place inside him that had been asleep for a very long time. Since then, he has carried your presence with him. Not always openly, not always consciously, but consistently. There is a part of him that returns to thoughts of you again and again, no matter how busy life becomes, no matter how much he tries to focus elsewhere, no matter how much time passes. The feeling remains. Before we go further, there is something important you need to understand. Challenges do not automatically mean a connection is wrong. Many people believe that if love is real, everything should happen easily. They believe that true connection should arrive without confusion, without obstacles, and without uncertainty. Life rarely works that way. Some of the deepest connections arrive with complications, not because they are meant to fail, but because both people still have lessons to learn before they can fully receive what is being offered. Growth often happens before love can fully bloom. Healing often comes before commitment. Understanding often arrives before lasting connection. This man is carrying emotions that are real, but he is also carrying fears that are real. And those fears have influenced every step of this journey. Life has been preparing both of you in ways neither of you could fully see. It has watched your disappointments. It has watched your hopes. It has watched the moments when you gave your heart to people who could not fully appreciate it. It has seen the times when you stayed longer than you should have, The times when you believed in others more than they believed in themselves. The times when you carried emotional burdens that were never yours to carry. Every experience shaped you. Every lesson strengthened you. Every challenge taught you something about your own worth. Without realizing it, you were becoming ready for a healthier kind of connection. One built on honesty rather than uncertainty. One built on emotional safety rather than emotional confusion. One built on genuine care rather than temporary attention. And this man is connected to that journey. There is a reason your thoughts continue returning to him. There is a reason his energy feels different from others. There is a reason this connection refuses to completely fade away. What you are hearing now is not simply meant to make you feel hopeful. It is meant to help you understand what has truly been happening beneath the surface. The confusion is beginning to clear. The uncertainty is beginning to lift. The pieces are beginning to fit together. Now let us talk more honestly about him. At first, he tried to explain away what he felt. He told himself it was nothing serious. He called it friendship. He called it admiration. He called it curiosity. He searched for logical explanations. He tried to convince himself that these feelings would eventually disappear. But they never did. Instead, they grew. Every interaction added another layer. Every conversation left a stronger impression. Every memory stayed with him longer than he expected. The truth became impossible to ignore. His feelings were no longer simple. They had become something deeper, something more meaningful, something that affected him in ways he could not easily explain. You may wonder how to know whether this message relates to the person you are thinking about. The answer often comes from within. When a particular face keeps appearing in your mind, there is usually a reason. When a certain person immediately comes to your thoughts without effort, pay attention to that feeling. Your intuition notices patterns that your conscious mind sometimes overlooks. And now we must talk about the obstacle, because there is one. The barrier between you is not a lack of affection, it is not indifference, it is not a lack of desire. The obstacle is fear. But not the kind of fear most people imagine. This fear was built over time. It was created through disappointment. It was created through emotional wounds. It was created through experiences that taught him to be careful with his heart. At some point in his life, he trusted someone deeply, and that trust led to pain. Perhaps he was rejected. Perhaps he was lied to. Perhaps he gave everything to someone who did not value what he offered. Perhaps he opened his heart only to watch it break. The details may be different, but the result was the same. He learned to protect himself. He learned to hide his emotions. He learned to build walls around the parts of himself that felt vulnerable. Those walls became his way of feeling safe. Over time, they became so familiar that he barely noticed they were there. Then you entered his life, and something unexpected happened. Without trying, without forcing anything, without demanding access to his heart. You reached places inside him that others could not reach. Your presence felt different. Your energy felt genuine. The way you moved through the world reminded him of something he thought he had lost. Hope, trust, emotional warmth, the possibility that love could feel safe again. And that is exactly why this connection feels so powerful. Because it awakens something inside him that had been sleeping for a very long time. A part of him wants to move closer. A part of him wants to express everything he feels. A part of him wants to stop hiding. But another part still remembers the pain. Another part still remembers disappointment. Another part still fears what could happen if he allows himself to become fully vulnerable again. And that inner conflict is what has been standing in the way. And that realization scared him. Not because of anything you did, not because there is something wrong with you, but because he suddenly understood how deeply he feels. Inside him, there is a constant struggle. His heart keeps pulling him toward you. His mind keeps reminding him to be careful. His heart recognizes your importance. His thoughts remember old pain. Part of him wants to trust completely. Another part still worries about getting hurt again. This conflict has nothing to do with your worth. It is not proof that you are unlovable. It is not proof that you have done something wrong. His hesitation comes from wounds that existed long before you entered his life. What you are seeing is part of his healing journey. And there is something important you need to understand. Your presence has become part of that healing. You did not enter his life by accident. Sometimes people arrive when they are needed most. Sometimes a connection appears at the exact moment a heart is ready to begin changing. You have brought something into his world that he has been searching for longer than he realizes. A feeling of safety, a feeling of understanding, a feeling that he can finally stop pretending to be someone else. Deep down, he has always wanted a connection that felt genuine, a love that did not require masks, a relationship where he could be accepted without fear. And when he met you, something inside him recognized that possibility. That recognition changed everything. The timing of this connection matters. Some things cannot be rushed. The strongest relationships often grow slowly. They develop through patience. They develop through trust. They develop through lessons that both people must learn before they are ready for what comes next. What matters right now is not how fast things are moving. What matters is that the feelings exist. They are real. They are alive. And despite the obstacles, they continue growing beneath the surface. The challenges you see today are not proof that this connection is impossible. They are not signs that it will never happen. They simply show that certain pieces are still finding their place. There are lessons still being learned. There are fears still being released. There are truths still being accepted. The man who loves you is changing. He is growing in ways that even he does not fully understand yet. He needs time. Not because he wants distance from you, not because he wants to lose you, but because he must face parts of himself that he has avoided for a long time. He must understand that the walls he built for protection have become barriers to the very love he desires. For years, those walls made him feel safe. Now they are keeping him from something meaningful. This is where your role becomes important. You are not being asked to chase him. You are not being asked to convince him. You are not being asked to prove your value. Your worth does not need an explanation. Your love does not need a sales pitch. You are being asked to remain true to yourself, to continue growing, to continue shining, to trust that what is meant to unfold will find its way forward. Waiting is not easy. Uncertainty can feel heavy. There are days when you want answers, days when you want clarity, days when you want to know exactly when everything will finally make sense. That desire is natural. Anyone who cares deeply wants certainty. But life rarely reveals every detail before the journey is complete. What you need to know is that movement is already happening. Change often begins long before it becomes visible. The shifts taking place inside him are real. Old wounds are being challenged. Old fears are losing their power. New understanding is beginning to take root. Slowly but surely, his heart is becoming more open. There is another part of this situation that deserves attention. His struggle is not only connected to past pain, it is also connected to how he currently sees himself. There are areas of his life where he feels unfinished. There are goals he believes he should have achieved already. There are expectations he places on himself that feel impossible to meet. When he looks at his circumstances, he sometimes believes he is not ready for a serious relationship. He tells himself he needs more stability. He tells himself he needs more success. He tells himself he needs to become a better version of himself before offering his heart. In his mind, waiting feels responsible. He believes he is protecting both you and himself. He wants to show up with confidence. He wants to feel secure. He wants to stand beside you without feeling inadequate. This is not only about money. It is not only about achievements. It goes deeper than that. It is about self-worth. It is about how he views himself when nobody else is looking. He wants to feel deserving of the love he receives. He wants to feel like an equal partner. He wants to believe he has something meaningful to offer. But there is a truth that many people learn too late. No one reaches a point where everything is perfect. Life is always a work in progress. There is always another challenge, another lesson, another goal waiting on the horizon. Love is not something reserved for people who have solved every problem. Love grows alongside the journey. People heal together. People learn together. People build together. The belief that he must become perfect before opening his heart has already cost him valuable time. It has delayed moments that could have brought happiness. But that belief is beginning to change. New understanding is entering his life. The truth is slowly becoming impossible to ignore. He is beginning to realize that waiting for perfect conditions often means waiting forever. Perfection is an illusion. Connection is real. Growth is real. Commitment is real. Those are the things that truly matter. Over time, the fear that once controlled him will become weaker. The doubts that kept him stuck will begin to lose their influence. And as that happens, he will see what has been standing in front of him all along. A connection worth choosing. A connection worth protecting. A connection worth building. While this transformation is happening inside him, there is also work taking place inside you. This season is not only about his growth, it is about yours as well. There are moments when old doubts try to return. Moments when past disappointments whisper that lasting love may never arrive. Moments when previous heartbreaks make you question your future. Those thoughts are understandable, but they are not the truth. They are echoes from experiences that no longer define you. Your future is not determined by what happened before. Your worth is not determined by how others treated you. Your value is not determined by who failed to recognize it. You are worthy of love exactly as you are. Not someday, not after you change, not after you become perfect. Right now. Your worth has always existed. It cannot be taken away by rejection. It cannot be reduced by mistakes. It cannot be destroyed by disappointment. The love you seek is not something you must earn. It is something you deserve. And when this man finally reaches the point where he is ready to step forward, he will recognize the gift that has been in front of him. He will appreciate your strength. He will appreciate your patience. He will appreciate the way you remain true to yourself during the waiting. Now let us talk about what is changing. Because change is already beginning. Something is moving inside his world. A realization is approaching. Clarity is getting closer. It may come through a conversation. It may come through a quiet moment of reflection. It may arrive when he finally becomes tired of running from what he feels. However it happens, it will be difficult for him to ignore. The truth has a way of making itself known. When that moment arrives, you will notice differences. The distance will begin to shrink. The hesitation will begin to soften. Communication will feel easier. His actions will become more consistent. The feelings he once struggled to express will begin finding their way into the open. What was hidden will become clearer. What was uncertain will become easier to understand. Your patience during this process is not weakness, it is strength. It is the choice to remain grounded while life unfolds. It is the decision to trust yourself instead of fear. Every meaningful journey requires moments of uncertainty. Every lasting relationship passes through periods of growth. And every strong foundation is built one step at a time. If doubt appears, remember where it often comes from. It comes from old disappointments. It comes from previous pain. It comes from experiences that taught you to protect yourself. But hope is not weakness. Believing in something good does not make you foolish. It makes you courageous. Trust allows possibilities to enter where fear once stood. And sometimes, the greatest transformations begin with a simple decision to remain open. There is a future waiting beyond this season. A future built with greater clarity. A future built with greater understanding. A future built with purpose. This connection has not been forgotten. The delays have meaning. The waiting has meaning. The lessons have meaning. Everything happening now is helping both of you become ready for what comes next. Every pause is creating wisdom. Every challenge is creating strength. Every moment is preparing the ground for something deeper and more lasting. And if you are still listening, there may be a reason for that. Part of you already knows that this story is not finished. Part of you already feels that something important is still unfolding. Part of you already senses that what has been growing quietly beneath the surface is moving closer to the moment when it can finally be seen. Many people hear messages like this and immediately turn away. Not because the message is wrong, but because they are not ready to receive it. You stayed. You continued listening. That says something important about where you are in your journey. Part of you is ready for a deeper understanding. Part of you is ready to see this connection from a different perspective. There is strength in remaining open when it would be easier to walk away. There is wisdom in allowing yourself to consider possibilities that cannot yet be fully explained. As you move forward, hold on to one simple belief. Trust the timing. Not because waiting is easy, not because uncertainty feels comfortable, but because some things cannot be forced into existence before they are ready. Trust allows peace to replace worry. Trust allows patience to replace frustration. Trust allows you to release the need to control every outcome. And there is something else you need to understand clearly. The feelings this man has for you are not ordinary. You are not simply another person who crossed his path. You are not just another memory. You occupy a place in his heart that feels different from anyone else. When he thinks of you, there is familiarity. There is comfort. There is a feeling that is difficult for him to explain. Something inside him recognizes you on a deeper level. That recognition is part of what makes this connection so powerful. It is also part of what makes it frightening for him. The stronger the connection feels, the more vulnerable he becomes. And vulnerability is something he has spent years trying to protect himself from. But walls are not permanent. Fear is not permanent. The barriers he created around his heart will not stay there forever. Every lesson he learns weakens them. Every moment of growth softens them. Every step toward healing makes them less necessary. The day will come when he looks back and realizes how much time was lost because of fear. And when that realization arrives, he will want to make up for the distance. He will want to show through actions what he struggled to express through words. Until then, your responsibility is simple. Protect your peace. Do not allow worry to steal your joy. Do not allow uncertainty to consume your thoughts. Do not build problems in your mind that do not yet exist in reality. Sometimes, the strongest thing a person can do is remain calm while life is still unfolding. Sometimes trust is an action. Sometimes patience is a form of strength. Even when you cannot see movement, movement can still be happening. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before anyone sees a flower. Healing often takes place quietly before it becomes visible. The same is true for this connection. Changes are taking place beneath the surface. Growth is happening where you cannot yet see it. And there is value in sharing hope with others. When people encourage one another, they create light in places that once felt dark. Kindness has a way of reaching hearts that need it most. Understanding has a way of helping people continue when they feel discouraged. Every act of compassion matters. Every word of encouragement matters. Every reminder that love still exists matters. Now let us return to the complication one more time, because there is another layer that deserves attention. The confusion he experiences is not about his feelings. His feelings are clear. The confusion comes from deciding what to do about them. Again and again, he has imagined moving forward. Again and again, he has considered expressing what is in his heart. Again and again, he has thought about taking the next step. And yet, at the last moment, something causes him to hesitate. Something tells him to wait. Something tells him to hold back. This is not because he does not care. It is not because he lacks interest. It is because he cares more than he knows how to handle. When a person sees a connection as temporary, they often act quickly. When a person sees a connection as deeply important, they become careful. Sometimes too careful. That is what has happened here. He understands that what exists between you could become something meaningful. He understands that this is not a casual connection. He sees the possibility of a real future, and that awareness has made him cautious. He wants to get it right. He wants to avoid mistakes. He wants to make sure he can offer you the commitment you deserve. But there is a lesson he must learn. Love always involves risk. There is no version of love that comes with complete certainty. There is no relationship that guarantees a person will never feel vulnerable. The very openness that scares him is also the doorway to the connection he wants most. As long as he remains outside that doorway, he will continue watching from a distance. He will continue imagining possibilities without fully living them. And eventually, he will understand that fear costs far more than courage ever could. You have already shown courage. You have remained open despite your own disappointments. You have continued believing despite moments of doubt. You have allowed yourself to hope even after experiencing pain. That takes strength. That takes maturity. That takes faith.